went into this, and we don't know how many went into this, and we don't know how many went into this. We just know the percentages. And so it's tough to do a contingency table like this where we have, the actual number down here, 300. We won't be able to do that. So instead, we need to make up our own. So we're actually going to just put a number down in the corner and then act as if that's the real number. And the results will be okay. So we won't be able to interpret the individual cells like we could up here. So here we said 38 people because that's how many actually did it. If we were looking at the sales data, that's what we actually got. Our contingency tables instead will be something like, well, out of 300 imaginary people, 38 bought it. Or, if we were to test 300, we would probably see 38 based on our data. It's that kind of thing. So we're going to create a table starting with an arbitrary large number in the corner and then infer based on the given information what everything would have to be. So to do that, I'm going to fire up Excel here. And let's make the fonts a little bigger. Oh. And so we've got a couple of things that can happen, right? We can have success. We can have failure, right? Our product can be good or our product can be bad. And then now we have two things up here. So the focus group can like it. So the focus gives it a plus, or the focus thinks it's bad. So I'm just creating a table just like the one we saw before. We'll have a total here, and we'll have a total here. So this is the dark art of doing contingency tables when you're given a bunch of percentage probabilities that you've got to put an imaginary number here. Everything else starts to make sense once you take this leap of faith. So let's imagine we had 1,000 products that were in our history queue. Then now we can go. So we know that the probability of success, the given information was that success is 50%. So that means out of 1,000 products, how many are going to be successes? 500. 500 of these are successes. Where does that go? Well, that's the total number of successes, right? Successes total, 500. That means now these have to sum up, right? This plus this has to equal this, which implies this needs to be 500 as well. Okay? Now, we were told that the detection rate from focus groups is 80%. So of these 500 successful products, how many would have successful test markets? Well, we have an 80% detection rate. So 80% of these would have successful test markets. So I'm going to just put that in right here. 80 times 500, right? 400. So 500 successful products, 400 would have had a successful test market, and therefore 100 would not, right? That's the same as 20%. Okay, we're just building our contingency table here. Now, I've got 500 failures. How many of those came back as successes? Well, the given information said 30%. So I'm going to take 30% times that. So we have 150 of those 500 came back as that. Well, of the 500 failures, the focus group liked 150 of them. Naturally, that means 350 here, right? Or 0.7 times this. So now here, 550, right? This has to total 450. And if we did it all right, this is where you can check this plus this equals this. Okay, there we go. So we have our contingency table. Now, does that mean there were 400 successful products that had a good focus group? No, not in real life, but it means of 1,000 hypothetical products, we would expect 400 to have both, right? So the probability of success and focus group success is 400 divided by 1,000. So who knows what the actual numbers are, but a hypothetical 1,000, we get 400. All right, so now we had a question. We want to know, given, let's say we run a focus group. If the focus group comes back negative, well, it was a bad idea to do the project just in general. We get a 50% chance of success, and we were going to lose money if we just did it. So if it comes back negative, we're definitely not doing it. So that's not very interesting. The interesting case is if it comes back positive. So we want to know, what's the probability of success given that the focus group likes the product? We want to know what that is. Right? Success, we know this, right? The probability of success is equal to 50. But what's the problem? Well, does that update when we have new information? So that's where this contingency table comes in handy, and where we will read it right off here. So, focusing on the focus group successes. So when we've got this given information, we're going to assume the focus group came back positive. We've got a 55% of the chance of that happening. So I'm going to say, of the 550 of the 1,000 that would come back as focus groups, how many are actual successes? And the answer is 400. So what is my probability of success given focus groups? Well, it's equal to 400 divided by 550, right? Of the 550 focus group positive products, 400 of those were actually successful. So there's our new probability of success. And so the question then is is it profitable at that rate? So we said, remember last time when we had a 50% chance of 300, and we had a 50% chance of losing 800. So that was the old expected value of the project. But now we can do a new one. So we would say we have a 72% or 73% chance of making that 300, and we only have 1 minus this. That's the probability that we lose that 800. And the result is 0. So, meaning that if the focus group comes back with a good result, that's positive, then we would end up breaking even on average instead of losing 250 million. So even if the focus group likes the product, we still don't know enough to make it worthwhile. We're not sure enough to make the investment worth it. So in that case, we might consider doing another focus group. So that's where this gets fun. So we're going to start out, we're going to clear this whole table, and now do the probability of success given our new information. So before, this was 500, right? So it used to be we had a 500 out of 1,000 chance. Now we have a 727.3 out of 1,000. You see, right? Because the probability of success is now we're thinking about 1,000 where we have a focus group success already. So we're going to look among the 1,000 that we like. Now we've got an updated probability. So among those that we like, we have this. And that means we're going to have here this minus that, 273. And now we can think about doing an additional focus group. So of these successes, we know that 80% will be focus group success. and then 20% will not. And then among failures, oh, okay, sorry, just a sec. I'll be back.